Hello and welcome to part 8 of the series of videos on creating the multiple choice quiz program. Now at the end of the last video we had got up to the stage where we had a quit button on the screen that wasn't functioning at that stage, and we also were about ready to put the first question on the screen, and that's what we're going to do in this video. Okay, so let's deal with the quit button first. Right, what we need to do is create a method, a function, which is going to quit the program. So let's define that and let's call that quit program. And it's going to be extremely long program function. Especially if I get the spelling right, it might help. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's our program. It destroys the root window, so everything inside it is also gone. So that should quit our program. Okay, now if we try and run this, nothing's going to happen because we haven't bound that to our quit button. In fact, I have got that, but you won't, so this is what you need to put in. When you put the command binding in, remember not to put the open and close bracket at the end of the module name. That's the way that Python and TK-Inter work. Okay, so let's run this. Let's see if this works. Okay, got an error here. Why have I got an error? Because I have not commented out that particular line. We haven't created this create question function yet. So let's run that again. Begin quiz, quit. Okay, no error messages, and that functions. Great. Okay, now let's get back to this method called create question. Okay, so what we need to do is to define this function. So what we're going to do is simply do the first part of this, where we're going to make the first question with a question number next to it, and that is simply going to be a couple of labels that we're going to make. And let's just see if I can find out where I've put that before. Here we go. Right, so let's call the first label question label, and it'll be a label, so equals label. Where are we going to put it? Inside self.question frame. Okay, so we need to specify where it's going to go. I'm going to specify a background with this rather unusual color name. Well, at least the name's unusual. Okay, the font Arial. Going to use 11 pixel size, and I want to make the actual question, where it says question, bold. Okay, that's all great. Let's put the text on that. So what's the text going to say? It will simply say question, and then I want a colon, and then I want a space, and then after the space I want the actual question number, so that should be question 1, it's going to say. So I'm using here a plus sign. Remember, a plus sign is used when talking about text to join pieces of text together. Okay, and what comes next? Well, I'm going to convert this question num, because that was a number which currently says number 1. Okay, I want to make that into a piece of string, and I forgot the plus sign. Okay, go back and put that in. Okay, what else do we need here? Now I want the text to start on the left hand side, so I'm going to put an anchor equals W. Okay, I'm going to put some pad Y equals 5 and pad X equals 5, and that should finish that off, hopefully. Why am I getting an error message here? Okay, just looking around to see where I've made some sort of mistake. Okay, and I think I've put an extra closing bracket there that I didn't need, so I've taken that out. Okay, so we have a label that's been made that says question, and then next to it the number 1, 2, 3, etc. Now we need to get that onto the screen. Now I'm going to be using the grid method for this. Grid is great when you want to line things up into rows and columns, and that's exactly what I want to do here. So I'm going to put this into row 0, column 0, and I want that to go as far to the top left of the question frame as possible. So I'm going to put that sticky option in, so north, top, west, left, so top left. Okay, let's run this. Begin quiz. Okay, and nothing on the screen. Great, so there's something going wrong there. Let's have a look and see what that might be. Okay, so it looks like I've got an error here, so let's have a look at this error here. Attribution, no object question, self.question.grid. Okay, so let's see if I can quickly figure out what's gone wrong. Okay, this was the question label that we're trying to grid. Hopefully has fixed that problem. Begin quiz on, there we go. Alright, so question 1 is appearing. Now next to this we want the actual question to go in here. So that's going to be our next label. Right, now to save a little bit of time, I'm going to copy this bit of code, and then I want to paste that in. Okay, and change it. So this is going to be self.question. Once again, it's a label. It is inside the question frame. Background is that color. I don't need the actual question to be bold though, so I can take that out. And the text is not going to be all of this. We're going to configure the text in a moment. So I'm simply going to make that an empty string at this stage. The anchor, the pad Y, pad X being 10, that's all great. And to grid this, it'll be row 0, but this time column 1. So 1 to the right of the previous. And once again, top left as far as we can. Okay, so hopefully that should work. They won't see anything because we don't have any text at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to configure self.question. And we want to configure the text. Now, this next part's really important. Our list of question objects, so self.questions is the list containing the question objects. I want to go to the first of those question objects. Now self.index is currently 0, so it's going to point to the first object in self.questions. So in other words, the first question object, and I want to get from that the question, which was a piece of text. So what we're doing is we're getting that and we're configuring self.table. So the text will change to this question from the first question object. Okay, well, before we run that code that we've got at the moment, I've noticed a couple of errors have crept in here. Line 72 has got self.grid, which is making no sense at all. We have to say what we want to grid, and that is self.question. And I've also noticed that there's this underscore in front of configure here, which would also cause an error. Okay, so having fixed those two, let's try and run this program now. Okay, and let's see if that's working, and yes it is. We have the question with the question number as we had before. Now we've got the question next to it. Okay, and what we now need to achieve is having the radio buttons appear here, and when a user selects on one of those, we want the score to potentially change up by 1 if they're correct, remain unchanged if they're not, and we want this next question button to become active. Okay, so we'll have a look at that in the next video. Good, so we'll